So yeah, good morning to you all. I'm Henrik, and I've been a tech journalist in Estonia for, I just discovered one day, almost 20 years. So that's a long time. And I started thinking, I remember the turn of the century, when the year 1999 turned into 2000. You know, for people my age, like I'm 38, it actually doesn't seem that long ago, right? I remember that, I was there. It was the turn of the century. And now when you start thinking back, some people here might also remember the turn of the century. It depends on the party you had. But nothing, almost nothing we use as tech today did not exist. I mean, there was almost no Google. There was certainly no Facebook, no Twitter, no smartphones, no 3Gs or 4Gs, almost no online news. Was there Google? A bit maybe, yeah? So on. So almost everything we use, we have actually invented altogether. We've been like through this giant washing machine of inventing all the good stuff we actually consider internet, or actually we consider tech right now. And it's, you know, if you look at it, back at it, like let's say 15 years back, maybe 17 years back, it wasn't like this, that we went to sleep in the year 2000, woke up now, and we just discovered, oh my God, we have invented all those things. Like, life is wonderful. It's been step by step by step by step by step, and you know, most of us have been a part of this invention. And it's been a giant step. Look how much we have achieved. And usually when I go out on stage, people ask me, you know, what's going to happen? You know, tell us about the next 10 years. And then instead, I always tell them about the past 10 years and say, you know, would any of you have predicted in the year 2000 the situation we are in right now? All those wonderful things. Maybe some of you would have dreamed about them, but I'm not sure how many actually could have said, yeah, this is going to happen. It's going to be like this. And you know, to stand here and say what's going to happen in the next 10 to 15 years, who knows? Maybe we'll be teleporting to Mars. Right now we will laugh at the idea, maybe Elon Musk will do something in 10 years and you know, it will all be a reality with some minor errors. So, I'm a tech journalist, and that means I'm actually not a techie. So I'm very humanitarian. I can't code, and my view on things tends to be very different from tech people. So sometimes we get along, sometimes we don't get along at all. Tech people like to measure things and have concrete answers. And even when you're testing things, now I'm testing things, right? I've been testing products, reviewing products for the best part of 20 years. And I do it very differently. I've always been on the consumer side of things. And you know, I approach a product like I think a consumer would. A consumer will not screw the back panel off and start measuring things. Or if you buy a new computer as a consumer, most consumers will not put it through testing of any kind, really, speed testing or stress testing. They just don't care. They only care that the thing does what it's supposed to do, and you know, at a nice, okay price. So a couple of days ago, I went through my history. So in 2005, I founded a consumer tech magazine in Estonia. It was called, it still exists. It's called Digi. I ran it for 10 years. And then I left 2 years ago to found my own website. So I have a history, and I looked back at the things I have tested, and I have tried to review. And I tried to find out what makes a bad product. We all know what makes a good product, but looking back at things, what makes a bad product? And I want to tell you about how I view products, how I think consumers view products, and how I think they have changed. The consumers have already changed, and I'm not so sure that the techies have changed. But I think we ought to. So, this is an article, actually I have 2 examples here, and both of them are for 2010. This is February 2010. It's my review of the Sony Ericsson X2 smartphone. Has anyone used it? One person. So, to those who don't speak Estonian, we didn't have euro then. This is The title says 9,000 Estonian crowns of rage. So the thing cost 9,000 crowns, which is about 500 euros. And at the time, for a mobile phone, it was an astronomical price. It ran, what did it run? Symbian, I think? No, Windows Mobile 6.5 Pro. And in this review, I basically say it's a crime against humanity to sell this phone, and it's a crime for Sony Ericsson to go out and say anyone shouldn't buy it. It's a crime to say that it works, it doesn't. And you should keep away from this phone no matter what. And actually, I just discovered yesterday I gave it 2 stars. I don't know why. I should have given it 1, but maybe there was something. Oh yeah, I kind of like the hardware, but everything about this phone did not work. Nothing, absolutely nothing. It was slow as hell. It was, you know, the Windows Mobile operating system was outdated even in 2010. It had very few features I wanted to use, and it had even fewer I could use. The predecessor to this phone, I think it was called the X1, was even worse, I think, because the predecessor, I remember, I had it for testing, or maybe it was this one actually. I was driving around in Tallinn, trying to use it the way users do. You're not supposed to, but I did. I was driving, and then I remember actually it was the same street here, and I tried to call someone, and the thing was so slow, and it was so complicated that I almost just threw the test phone out of my car window. It's been the first and the last time ever I wanted to do this to a product. It was awful. So the question, what makes a product bad, is actually pretty simple. It's a bad product, right? It doesn't work. It's either too slow, it has too few features, it doesn't work as advertised, it costs too much. There are lots of things. But most of the reviews I looked through, and I went through, I think, 5 years of my reviews, there are very few bad products in the world, because most of them are just meh. It's like, yeah, it kind of works, but it's not interesting. Something else does a better job for the money. And most products are actually worth 3 stars. And 1, 2 stars, that's peach. I love these 1, 2 star products. But most products are not bad. They are just boring, and they are just tools that do things okay. And I think life is too short to have things that do stuff okay. It should move me somehow. But first of all, it should work. And if it doesn't work, then things get interesting. Another example is from October 2010. This is called the Dell Streak. Has anyone used this phone? No one? Really? That's a surprise. So, this is a product that got 5 stars from me in 2010. It should have got 1 star. Because at the time, this was the stupidest product invented. It cost the same, even a bit more. It was, I think, the first 5-inch smartphone I ever tried that actually was widely available in the world. So Dell Streak was one of the world's first, if not the first, 5-inch mobile phone back in 2010. And right now, you know, 5 inches, 5.5, 5.7, 6.5, it seems kind of okay, right? Anything under 5 is considered a small phone. At the time, I remember when it arrived, we unpacked it in the office, so people started flowing in from the other departments. Wow, what's this? You know, this is stupid. They would try it, you know, to put it in their jeans pocket, and they would just try and talk to it. Oh, look at me, I'm funny. Oh, 5-inch phone. And we were like, you know, it was like a circus for the whole week this thing was in testing. And, you know, by all the standards, we should have given it a 1. Like, it's a stupid thing. Who needs a 5-inch phone? Because the phone is 3.5, maybe 3.2 inches, 3 inches. And I gave it 5, and the reason was, it's so good to use. It's like, you just take the phone, yes, it's big, yes, it's, you know, it's funny looking, people laugh at you, they point at you, but it's so good to use. You know, this is the future. That's what, you know, that's what I said. I got a lot of heat for it, and now it turns out I was right. So, what makes a product bad? usually what I discovered is a product can be bad either on the way in to the market or on the way out of the market. So this thing was bad because it was on its way out. Sony Ericsson as a whole was actually on its way out together with Nokia. So it was end of the line, and they were trying to make something work that inherently didn't work anymore. So that's where bad products happen. And that's less interesting. Much more interesting is the idea that a product can be bad when it enters the market. And then, why is it interesting? Because there are so many ideas that this thing carries. You know, it wants to do this, it wants to do that. It wants to measure your sleep and your heart rate and your love life and whatnot. It wants to do all these fantastic things, but it's like a child. Like it wants to, and it's cute in its wishes, but it can't. You know, you see that it needs to grow. So, as a consumer, as a consumer tester, I quite often reward these products. Because without these stupid things, we wouldn't have anything. We would still be here. And so I forgive some of the stuff. But the underlying thing is it needs to work. It needs to work. That's the most important thing. And I knew I was going to be on stage here for quite some time, and I actually wanted to find products that really badly don't work in my life. And I found almost none. So you must be doing a great job, actually. Because things have gotten so much better. There are flaws with products and so on, but there are very, very few things on the market that don't work at all. So thank you for being here. I now come to a slide that I think sort of frames the things I want to say. There are a few ideas on this slide, and this is the world right now. In just 3 lines, this is the world. We have about 1.3 billion PCs in use. The number varies. Some say 1.6, some say 1.1, whatever. This is the number I find most quoted. We have about 3 billion smartphones. We have about 1 billion tablets. And so there are lots of stories hidden in these 3 lines. For example, I tend to think, because I come from the PC age, the PC is king. Right? The PC is the computer. It's the tool. It's the most important thing. Looking here, no, it's not. it's a small thing. It's a fading thing. I think this number 1.3 was almost 2, and it's been going down steadily. And the PC sales are going down as well. Everything PC world is at best holding where it is right now, or actually it's going down. So PC is not the most important computer at all. And this is smartphones. And the change has been really, really quick. Smartphones are the product that has taken the least time in world's history to reach to the level they are right now. It might be actually the most sold consumer product in the world if you don't consider consumables such as toothbrushes and jeans maybe. So everything, almost half of the people in the world have this thing in their pocket right now, and it's a computer. So we need to consider this, I think, when we go forward, because this means changes. And the tablet story here, tablets, have you read the news? It's a failed category, right? Tablets are failing. Tablets are turning out to be pointless. Well, I wouldn't say so. They don't do, tablets are not smartphones, they don't do everything, but by no means are they a failed category. So there are 2 movements I found interesting in this slide. This is the world right now, and actually it means the PC is so 1990. As I told you, most of us have been through this. We love our PC. We know how it works. We know when it doesn't work. We know why it doesn't work, and we think it's a great product. Are there any people here who use an iPad or a tablet computer for their daily work, who's an iPad as main tool? Right? Yeah, there's no one here, but we're all ancient, we're dinosaurs here. Why? Did anyone see the Apple keynote Monday evening? What's their story? What are they telling? So these people, the richest company on earth, spent at least an hour trying to sell me the idea that I'm a dinosaur and this is the future, right? Look, we put a dock on the iPhone, on the iPad, sorry. And now they have a keyboard, and the keyboard is so fantastic that actually you can type numbers in very easily. You don't have to change the keyboard to type in numbers. I don't have the keyboard's picture, but the idea was that on the top row of the letters, W, E, R, and so on, QWERTY, there are numbers on the keys, and if you flick down, then the number will actually be typed. It's an innovation, people. And then I looked at my computer and said, well, I can type numbers. It's just like that. I just push the number button and then the number appears magically. So, wow. But I'm really happy for you iPad people that you're entered into the number world right now. And so on and so on. Like Apple spent an hour trying to sell me the idea that this is the tool for the future. This is where we're going. This is the 21st century. We should, Apple is making this thing better and better and better to catch up with the PC. It's not going past. It's barely catching up. We got numbers, and next year who knows what we'll get. It's very interesting, but for some reason these people there think that this is the future. This is the most important thing, and there has to be a reason for that. There has to be a reason, because in all the ways, actually, a computer is a better tool for most people. How they like to show the things they can do with a pen. It's like, yes, I'm sitting here in my hammock and it's the sun is shining and I'm doing really important work. And my work is to take a pen and underline some of the stuff in the text, just send it off. And so I started thinking, who are these people whose job it is to just sit around and underline stuff and then send it to people? And let's say you're a very important project manager, so your job is to underline stuff and maybe scribble on something that this is crap, just do it again. So imagine if you had a product manager, if you had a boss like that who would just sit somewhere and just fire screenshots at you, like constantly with some scribbles on it. We have Asana and tools for that, right? It doesn't work like that. This is not how I think people work. This is all very different. But somehow these people keep on insisting that work should be scribbling on a screen and underlining stuff, and maybe trying to draw something. I'm left-handed, so it's all the more difficult for me. But there has to be a reason. Why are they doing it? This thing is cheaper than the computer. So why are they promoting it? And there's one reason. Actually, three. I put three of the simplest here. Its price, it's half cheaper than a MacBook. Like it's half cheaper than a decent laptop. So inherently, it's more affordable to people. More people can afford this top tool. The battery, they say 10 hours. How much is a laptop? 5, 6? It depends on the laptop. Let's say battery, half better. In size and weight, again, almost half maybe. So it's half the computer physically. Half better, let's say. But it's a different thing. And now we come to the biggest reason why they are pushing it. Is this. So people from Estonia know what this is. It's like a tiger eating the world, but that's not my message. In the left here is a program called the Tiger Leap, which was founded in Estonia, I think, in 1996 or launched in 1997. By the then foreign minister of Estonia, Hendrik Roonemaa, who later got to be the president of Estonia, who much of the West knows as the digital president. And it was announced by our then president, Mr. Lennart Meri. And the idea was the Tiger Leap program was supposed to put PCs in schools. So we came from the Soviet Union, we didn't have much computer history. The US schools, for example, had Apple computers everywhere. We had nothing. So the Tiger Leap program was to just put PCs anywhere, everywhere. All the schools got shiny new PCs for people to learn. And then the second half is look at World Foundation. And that's, to look back at it, it was a huge step. So the largest private companies in Estonia came together. It was the banks and the telcos mostly, to educate 10% of Estonian population in computers. And not how to program, but how to use. So we got, over the few years, they actually educated more than 100,000 people, which is 10% of the Estonian population. You see a typical computer education session here. I think this picture was taken around the 2000s, maybe. So people all over Estonia got these free computer courses, and it was a huge thing. And now to come back to the iPad, I haven't seen any initiatives by anyone actually to educate 100,000 people in how to use a smartphone or how to use a tablet. So people are afraid of computers. Computers are bad things, they're terrible things. You must know, you are the persons who your mother-in-laws and parents are calling all the time. Oh my God, it says, I have a message, I have a box here. Do I press OK or cancel, or can I just close the box? What does it want now? I'm the person who everyone calls. And it's terrible. People are so terrified of computers. They barely get by. We have had to educate them for millions and millions of euros just to be able to use them. Not program. Now we are running programming courses, but that's a different thing. But just to use these things. And I have a parallel here. When Ford started producing its cars in the US, why were they so successful? Why was Ford so successful? It's because with every car, you got a manual like this, how to fix things. Like a thick, well-written piece, a book essentially. It's like a Ford car was a Lego. It was a computer actually. It broke all the time, but that was not the point. The point was that anyone could fix it with a little education. So this is the Ford car. Normal people do not want to do this, and they are really, really afraid. And it's time to just move past it, and it's time to move to the new territory. Ever since my mother-in-law got the iPad, I haven't received one call. It's magic. And suddenly they are doing things. It's like, oh, I took a photo. Oh, I have this app. I created this. I did this. Oh yeah, it's like we went to Turkey, and they went to Turkey. So they walked into the local mobile shop, got a SIM card in it, used it to navigate, used it to book all the hotels and do all the stuff. They would never have done it on a laptop, ever. So the reason everyone is pushing this new future is that it just works. And not for us, we don't care. And we don't even matter. There are 500 of us here now. It's too little. There are 7 billion people in the world. And I don't like this new future, I have to say. I'm very old-fashioned. I want to be able to type in numbers if I want to. But no. 7 billion people say no. We want tablets. And this is the way it's probably going to be. It's the old analogy. A computer is a tractor and an iPad is an iPad, right? It's the future. It's a slick tool. And so we are the tractorists here. And it's not actually sexy to be a tractorist, is it? It's here, but it's the simplicity. And I've been talking about physical products, but this all boils down. It's like the core of this new dreaded world, that it has to be unbelievably simple. Just so simple that you wouldn't think it's possible. I'll give you some examples. No, there's another example. How much actually people, even normal people, even tech people, how much they like simplicity and affordability. Benedict Evans is a guy who works, he's a British, I think he's a historian by education, but he now works in tech, in Andreessen Horowitz, and he analyzes the industry, and he has actually calculated that in 1999, the peak of the film camera industry, consumers took around 80 billion photos a year. So then he did some calculations, and in 2015 said at least 2 trillion photos will be shared. So here we took 80 billion photos a year. Now, a few years later, we will share 2 trillion photos a year. So now the question is, how much did we take? We can just guess, I think. It's not possible to say, but let's say, 10% of the photos were shared, maybe 20, 50, It's anyone's guess, but you see, the change is just unbelievable. We are photographing everything. And I think we maybe are photographing everything just to, to let our future computer overlords know what the world is. We are just digitizing our world, everything in it, the plants and the bugs and the children and the buildings and everything. We are translating our analog world into digital, and we are doing it for free. So the greatest, the total number of photos ever taken on film is how much we share now each year. So if you give people something that's affordable and that's simple and that's fun to use, film photos are better. I think anyone who is a proper photographer will agree with me that a proper, nice, well-taken photo on film by quality is better than the digital shit we're all doing right now. It doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter. So with the simplicity, look, simplicity wins. Some people use the tractor, but the market is almost non-existent right now. This is Microsoft Word, right? Jesus. So this will be substituted with this. 100, how many buttons? Like 100 something to 1. Yeah, we will do it. This will be substituted with this, and later on with electric cars that you can't even touch. Everyone, like let's say 20, 30 years ago, everyone understood this and was able to do just simple fixes there on its own. It's like here, no. Your job is to drive, your job is to enjoy life. Push a button, one button, that's all we ask. Don't come here. And the reason for that is, some people say that that humanity is going down the drain because we are all stupid. We are just, we are just pushing this one button, and that's all we can do. We are like apes, like bow, 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 pushing this one button. And we used to be able to do all these fantastic things, right? Fix a car and configure auto-exec bats and so on. But I used to be able to do that. But the fact is, we are very busy. That's the reason. We are extremely busy. And where does this busyness come from? Content. An average Western person consumes at least 8 to 10 hours of content a day. Again, there have been studies, and these numbers vary. 8 is the least I've seen. 16 is the biggest I've seen. So imagine, if a study says that we consume 16 hours of content a day, each one of us, we don't have time for any of this. We don't have time to learn how a DSLR works, or how Microsoft Word works, or how computers work. We don't have time. We barely have time to learn how a button works. And by consuming content, I mean actually, it's not like we sit and watch TV for 16 hours. It's all parallel. Facebook gets a few hours a day, TV gets a few hours a day, Twitter gets a few hours a day. Every one of you who depletes a phone battery during the day has spent, 5-6 hours of screen time. So if your battery is empty in the evening, you have been looking at your phone for about 5 hours a day. Maybe 4. Depends on the phone, maybe 7. Imagine that. And my battery is almost empty every evening. I have a big iPhone. And you don't notice it. On average, we open our phones, we light the screens more than 100 times a day. Like 120, 160. And it's so unnoticeable, really. We listen to podcasts, we read the news, we read the Facebook, the Twitter, and the feeds, and the news, and everything. We don't have time for anything else. We have to consume. We have to produce all this profit to Facebook and the other companies, right? We have to look through our Instagram feed because this is the thing that makes us happy. We don't have time. And your user is not maybe happy about it. I'm not happy about it, but this is the way it is. And if you present the user with a need to learn, with a learning curve, they don't care. What's the difference between the best newspaper article in the world and the worst? Between fake news and, let's say, The Economist. It's one click. It's like just one click. And the difference between something complicated and something easy to follow and fun is one click. If you present me with some complicated crap, I will go to YouTube and watch a fun video. And it's so easy. I will just go and do it. I don't care. I don't want to learn. So if you're not able to make your thing a one-button thing, I'm not interested. So I'm not like Donald Trump. It's, ooh, that's too much. So now we have a second movement, right? The first movement was a bit sad. The second movement in these numbers. Welcome to the internet, new people. As I said, we have 1.3 billion PCs, many of them here in the Western world, all this. And now, instead of 3 billion smartphones, we will have 6 quite soon. And where will this come from? Actually, the Western market is saturated. Here, I think even in Estonia, 75–80% of the people already have a smartphone. In the US, in the richer markets, it's even a bigger number. So this growth will not come from here. It will come from there. I see some people are from Asia. I think almost half of internet users already in the world are Asian. And with this another 3 billion will jump into the internet very, very soon. And they will all be not from the Western world. They'll be from somewhere else. I'll give you an example. This is, how you want to call it, Myanmar or Burma, whatever. So it's about 700,000 square kilometers should be. And 51 million people. Estonia is 1.5. And the GDP is about $1,000, well, let's say $1,200 per year. In Estonia, it's almost 18, which is considerably less, again, than the richest countries. So it's quite a big, very, very poor country. And here is the mobile coverage in September 2014, and this is March 2016. It's one of the poorest countries in the world. Very difficult terrain, mountainous, many people who don't have money to spend, and yet the mobile companies have moved in and just covered the country with 3 and 4G in 2 years. This is almost covered now. And now they have more than half of the people there are mobile users, 80% on smartphone, and 52% active data users. So look at this picture. It's like unbelievable. I've seen these documentaries of mobile companies putting up towers in the swamps of whatever Asian territory, where there's no electricity, no communications, no nothing. And the villagers actually took their boats to the new mobile tower like it was a church. And they took out their Nokias and say, wow, like God has really come to me. So this is what's happening in the world. This is where the 3 billion is coming from. And we are all happy and merry in our little internet here, and we are using Amazon and Facebook and Instagram and trying to make things better. It will be a very different internet very, very soon. 5% of the world's population uses English as their mother tongue. It's 5%. And right now, most of the internet is in English. Will it be then? It's a funny thing with the internet. We can say, yeah, but we have lots of consumers here in the Western world. It's a rich part of the world. We will always be very important. I hope so. But in the internet, we tend to have this interesting view of things that if you are not for everyone, you are for no one. A good example is Facebook, almost 2 billion users. It's a successful thing. Now let's take Twitter. 300 million users? No, that's too little. Come on, guys. You are pointless. I mean, why do you exist? 300 million users. I would love to have 300 million users. It's not a small number. But it's with all these services, it's like you're for everyone or you're just pointless. You're just for no one. And I think that's how it will go. Because all this, the amplification effect of this network is so big. It's so tempting that I think the needs of the next 3 billion will come and overshadow the needs of us here. And we have to consider that for these people, mobile phone is their first computer, their only computer. They haven't gone through the Tiger Leap and then the look at World Foundation education courses and so on. They haven't learned to tame the dreaded PC. They have no idea, and they don't want to have an idea. They're these. This is the one-button world, and the computer world that's arrived at them is the one-button world. And these people have expectations. They have expectations of how things should be. You know, our expectation is that, yeah, we could have menus, and then we could have commands in the menus, and dialog boxes, and buttons, and dials, and so on. You know, it's okay for us if things are complicated. And it's actually good, because with complicated things, you can do more. But this is going to be very, very different. And Apple is, you know, just one of the companies who is seeing it, because they have something called the China problem. The sales are not going too well. And one of the reasons behind it now seems to be the fact that in China, are there any Chinese people here actually? No? In China, there is something called WeChat, which sounds like a chat app, but actually, I haven't been to China, so I've just learned it through media, but they say that it's the way the world works in China. WeChat is everything. It's the life operating system in China. Payments and services and chats and everything. And the thing is that the Chinese people supposedly don't care that much if they use an iPhone or an Android phone or whatever, as long as WeChat is there. They don't use phones, they use WeChat. And the phone is just a physical thing that enables them to use WeChat. Yes, we have status symbol parts of this and more, but it can be very, very different. And in these parts of the world, this dear user who in this part of the world is extremely busy, they are very different. They're just inexperienced, and they have very, very different expectations. They have very different ideas of what the product could and should do, how it should behave, and how much should a user do versus how much should the other people do, should the software do. So I think increasingly, not only for the next 3 billion, but increasingly for us, a product is something that does things for me. It's not the thing I do things with, as it's been for a number of years, for eternity. But it's a thing that does things for me. So let's take an example. Let's say I want to have, you know, it's summer. Let's say I want to take a trip to Spain with a few friends. So now, currently, what I do, it's a mayhem. I will fire up at least 5 different chat apps because no one uses one anymore. And I will try and find, you know, when these people are free. Will they be coming alone or with children? Where should we go? What's acceptable? What's the price range? You know, when are people's vacations? When are good flights available? Should we get a rental car? Is there something interesting going on in Spain we would like to visit? And then it's like a proper job to organize this right now. And we have all those wonderful tools and apps to help us. But in fact, what I want to do is say, okay, Google, you know, me and my friends want to go to Spain sometime in the summer. Do something, please. And right, I want the answer to just come at me and say, yeah, you know, your friends can do it in the second half of July. You know, there are good plane tickets available. There's this nice house. There is also a concert of your favorite artist nearby. I think Google thinks you should go there. So the point is, if I want to do something, I don't want to use an app, I want a result. I don't want to use a product, I want a result. And that's going to be a very different worldview. I want these things to do more. I don't want to write a sales report. I want to present it to someone. I don't want to do anything. I just want to push this one button and have these computers do things for me. And that's increasingly how I feel. I have to consume content. I have to be on Instagram. I cannot do work. Work is something the apps and the products should do for me. And so then we arrive at Super Mario Run. Maybe some of you have played it. I love the way how smartphone game makers constantly try to figure out what else can we do with just one finger. Like, how many ways of playing games with one finger can we invent? And this now is, it's almost, I think, the pinnacle. All you have to do is put your finger on the screen. It's the game that plays for you. You don't have time to play games, right? This game plays for you, and the only thing we expect of you is that once in a while you tap on the screen, and that's called playing. I wonder where this will go next. Actually, many people don't play anymore. They just watch videos from YouTube, on YouTube. Because that's much easier. I don't have time to play this one-finger game. I just have time to watch a video. But this is just one example. It's with games. All this, what was the Fruit Ninja slash game, and it's all one-finger stuff. And so we arrived at this world that's fantastical, and at the same time, it's fantastically broken. So if I can just use my position here on stage to maybe inspire you to do something and to fix some of the things. Please don't think everything is been done. Actually, nothing has been done. Everything privacy is just a mess. It's awful. Right? This is Uber. I deleted Uber from my phone the minute they had an idea that they should be able to track me wherever I am. Even if the app is not open, these people want to know where I am. Why? What the hell? Why would you need this? And it's with all these apps. They want to know constantly things about you. Data is the new oil. And we are all just, this part of the deal needs fixing, and fast. We are all producing data for all these platforms and apps to use. I don't think it's okay. And I hope it will not be okay in the longer run. Right now it kind of works out. But when you see presentations by people who have been putting, who take anonymized databases, and they take a few, maybe add a hack or a leak or something, a stolen database, and they just put it together with names and addresses and emails, just like that. So your anonymous information will become not anonymous very, very soon. Does anyone know who this guy is? Yay, it's Genghis Khan. And under his rule, the Mongols started their conquest. And during these conquests, the Mongols supposedly killed, numbers vary, but around 50 million people. So he was the one who started this wonderful movement. And now the idea is that, imagine if you're Genghis Khan in 2017, so your idea is to conquer Europe, which he almost did. And then your idea is that, yes, I want to find all healthy Western European men, age 18 to 45, and I want to kill them. Right? They're a danger for me, so please find me all these guys and just murder them. So where would you go? Anywhere really, right? So one of the easiest ways, I would just go to Endomondo and take the servers. Because all the healthy Western European or even the Western men who work out, they use Endomondo or something and something, and they just log it all the time. So if you want to know who's healthy, just bam, go there. Maybe Facebook is too well protected, but these guys, who knows? So we're leaving behind bits of information all the time. Another thing that's broken is communication. I already mentioned I need to fire up 5 chat apps. Actually, it's more. Here is my phone. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I could add easily a couple more because I don't reach all the people with these apps. This is broken. This is really badly broken. And as a user, for me, it's more broken every day. I have no idea where my stuff is. I have no idea where I heard things or where my conversations are. I have to have logins. And then a security expert comes and says, oh yes, you need to change your passwords every half an hour and they need to be this long. And they need to be different for each of these services. Thank you. It doesn't work. And the funny thing is that how have we arrived here? Jesus Christ, this is my mobile number. This used to work globally. This was my login globally. Anyone could still reach me here. But the telcos have really given up and we have arrived at this. So I think this should be again this somehow. Otherwise, these things will not work. And to leave some time for the questions, I did wonderful thing yesterday. I logged onto Facebook and said, download my data. So I downloaded the data. I thought it would be gigabytes. It was 76 megabytes. And a third of it was messages. 26 megabytes, something. So I opened the messages and I filtered out the metadata and I just left text. And it was messages starting from, I think, 2013. So let's say the past 3-4 years. And then I measured it. You know, how much have I chatted? How much have I written on Facebook in the past 4 years? And it turned out I have written about 10 million characters. Well, me and my friends, it's 2 ways, right? 10 million characters, which in turn was about 1.7, 1.8 million words. So this is the Uber novel. Maybe some of you have read it. It's a legendary book just because it's so huge. Right? Most people would never have time to even consider reading it. Most people actually, if you're not working out, you cannot carry this book. So in this book, well, my Facebook, I remind you, 1.7, 1.8 million words. This book, 600,000. So over the years, I have written at least 3 of these books on Facebook alone. So I imagine on other services, because I don't use Facebook for my work. So I imagine actually in the past few years, I've written 6 of these books. Wow. And where is this data? Where is this life work of mine? It's sitting somewhere on the servers of other people. It's sitting on the servers of Skype, of Facebook, of whatever. What's it doing there? Well, they say it's doing me good. They say I have an opportunity to anytime go back and just, look at my history and then muse over how fun it's been. Bloody hell, it's like 6 of these books. I'm not able to go back to anywhere. It's impossible. So it's very clear to me that this data they are so kindly holding for me is not doing me any good. So that must be, it's doing them any good, some good. So I've given up on this. I want to use services that don't leave as much data behind. I use chat services, for example, that delete my messages. Because if I'm chatting with my wife, with will you pick up the kids tonight, or do we need milk or eggs from the store? Why should it be saved forever for the future generations to go through? This is stupid. This is a conversation, right? This is something that happens in this moment, and this will cease to exist. I don't want to leave so many things behind. So this is broken as well. And I think, I really hope that someone will come and fix it. So lots of things need fixing, and the challenge is to do it with one button, please. That's all I can turn my attention to. So remember this slide. This is growing. This might be growing as well. This is going down. And this is the one button people. And unfortunately, or fortunately, we have to do things for them. And if we are lucky, they are willing to pay us €1. But not more, because then you will get 1-star reviews on app stores. So my time is up. Thank you. Aha. So
well, it's working now. Even too good. So, thank you again, Christian. Hendrik, sorry. Now it works. So, as usual at the Nordic Testing Days, stuff breaks down because we have a lot of testers in the same room. Last year it was my watch, this year it's the microphone. As usual, we have also a QA, Harles there, and me here. QA means question assurance, and if you don't volunteer for questions, we'll point somebody in the audience who has to ask the question. So this is what question assurance actually means. So if anybody has a question, raise your hand, you'll get a microphone, and we have some fun. Any questions? Oh, this is going to be fun. Unless you want to pick someone?
Definitely.
I think we have like 5 long minutes to go.
This is my favorite.
Maybe Tiit wants to ask something.
Oh, thank you, Harles. So, my name is Tiit. I'm head of quality engineering at Pipedrive, and we are hiring. That's, thank you for the opportunity, Harles. So, Hendrik, what do you think when we're going to see the sort of first headlines of data killing people, like in massive scale?
Soon. I think soon, because one of the things that's also fantastically broken is everything security. Like if you read the news, you have kind of the impression that everybody is being hacked by everybody, and there are no secrets in the world, and there's no security in the world, and yet all the medical machines, everything is on the internet. So I think soon. I think it's actually probably happened already. It's just they don't like maybe to talk about it that much. Shut down a power station. When I go and speak, then people ask, yes, you're talking about cloud and computers and everything, but what happens if all these things shut down, right? You're lost. You will die probably. Like, where is your life then? And then I always say, well, yeah, but let's imagine all the grocery stores will be closed for a month. Let's say you can't get food. All the stores will be closed for a month. Then I would literally die. So I have outsourced even my food to other companies. My food is in the cloud, right? In the supermarket. It's a cloud for food. So, my photos or my emails are the least of my worries when everything is closed and comes down.
Well, I believe the power stations have been shut down remotely.
Yeah.
It happened in Ukraine a few years back. Yeah. Any other questions? Oh, yes. You see, question assurance works very well.
Not a question maybe, but maybe comment. The more simpler things you do, so the more stupid people became. The more stupid people became, the more simpler they need. So, can you stop it?
I don't know, actually. Maybe people, it's very easy to go down the path and say, yes, people are more stupid because they just click one button. But on the other hand, I think collectively we have become much more stupid over the years anyway. I mean, how many of us could ride a horse or do things people used to know how to do? So I think we have different challenges, and maybe if we just employ the computers more and we have more of these one-button things to click, so maybe our mind, I hope, will be free to do something, just to tackle different problems than we have so far. But that's just me trying to be optimistic, so I don't know.
Hi, I'm Abigail. Hi.
Hi.
So what you're describing as simplicity and simplicity in design in smartphones and in tablets, I see that as good user interaction design. So companies such as Apple run studies on how users use their products, and they design their software in order to meet the needs for people, so as to make products useful and usable. So yes, what you were calling simplicity, I call good user interaction design. And good user interaction design requires data collection. So I wonder what your views are on how to achieve the good simplicity in design versus the balance of collecting data. So how do you design good products for people without collecting the good data? Or how do you achieve that balance, and so on?
Mm-hmm. Well, Apple is trying to do that, right? Because their approach to all things AI seems to be very security-centered. Their things run on the phone, and even the things Siri knows about you and how it connects to different data sources, they always stress that it runs on the phone. Even the face recognition thing did not sync. I mean, we'll just sync in the next iOS one. So it was running on the phone, and then on the PC it was running separately. So they're very careful about that. But I think I agree with the data, because the data is the new oil. There's no escaping from that. But now it's just us consumers have been almost totally left out. We really have no say how people use our data, and it's not data as such. It's a resource. We are generating a resource, and I think we should get more for it. So I see it as some kind of international whatever treaty framework, a set of regulations that will say how much you can, how much other people can do with your data, and how much say you have over what is being done with your data. And I think Estonia has proposed an idea here. It's a very radical idea that all data you generate with machines that you use is yours, and it belongs to you, and you are the one who can actually sell it to companies to use. So, for example, you drive a new car, it generates data, it belongs to you, not to the car company. And let's say you're a startup who needs data about people's traffic, or, for example, people's health or whatever. So you can go to a data market and say, I'm willing to pay X for this amount of this data, and I can just sell it to you. So it would introduce a new kind of market to the new kind of good, because data is the new good. That's very, very clear. Data is the thing that's flowing and that's keeping these wheels moving. And right now we are mining it, and we don't get much out of it. So I think we should get much, much, much more.
Before the last question, I have a question to you as well.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're selling your data, so how naked are you willing to go?
But that depends on the price, right? I mean, some data will be more valuable. You will be thanking God if you have an interesting rare disease, for example. So some of your data will be much more valuable. If you just have a flu, it's not worth much. But let's say a few cancers, that's much more.
So we will hopefully see you in the evening at the party, how naked you're willing to go. So last question.
Hello, I'm Alex. Two questions in one. Don't you think that the stupid one-click people from today will become the genius of, let's say, the world from 100 years from now? Because the technology is evolving in such a way in which we don't have to do anything by ourselves. Example, see the movie Idiocracy. And the second one, don't you think that by, let's say, selling all our data, we are helping ourselves? For example, Waze, this app will put you on the fastest route to anything.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I will start from the second. Yeah, we are not giving it away for free as such. We're getting services. And if you look at Google's ARPU, average revenue per user a year, it's, I think, somewhere between $50, $60 range. So that's how much we are worth to Google. Now the question is, would you be willing to pay, let's say, $99.99 for all of Google services a year, not being tracked? I don't know. But I just don't think it's fair. I think it's so widespread. Everything is collecting. I mean, you probably know how much analytics is built into everything and anything. So I have really no idea where my habits are flying around on the internet. But your first question, there is no other way for us humans than to go forward. We don't know how to go back. So we will somehow go forward. I think, I hope that good things will come out of it. So if we let computers do more of the tedious work, we actually do have more time to hopefully spend productively tackling new problems. And we have new tools for that. So, but if anyone wants to read a good short story, I would recommend Time Traveler by H.G. Wells. So go and read it. There was an interesting, let's say it's an interesting twist, considering this one-click people versus the programmers. Thank you.